Title of my talk, Don't Get Complacent, and you may be wondering what that's about. So, you may be working on your spiritual self. You may have done some release work, and you might even be feeling good about it. But now it's not the time to relax, is it? Now it's time to fill that empty space that you're leaving behind. And you may be wondering, but why do I need to worry about filling any space that I leave behind? Well, I'm glad you asked. And let me answer by going through a story in the Bible called The Return, and I just spaced it, The Return of the Unclean Spirit. And we get this story both in Matthew and in Luke, and I'm going to read from the Luke story. It's in Luke 11:24 through 26. And then you'll go into it a little deeper and see what each phrase that's there means and why I'm saying what I'm saying. When the unclean spirit has gone out of a person, it wanders through waterless regions, looking for a resting place, but not finding any, it says, I will return to my house from which I came. When it returns, it finds it swept and put together. Then it goes and brings 7 other spirits more evil than itself, and they enter and live there. And the last state of that person is worse than the first. And there's a lot in there, so I'm going to read it one more time, and then we'll go into it. When the unclean spirit has gone out of a person, and you may kind of start to think, what can I get out of whatever you hear me say? But don't worry about it if you don't get anything. We'll go into it. When the unclean spirit has gone out of a person, it wanders through waterless regions, looking for a resting place. But not finding any, it says, I will return to my house from which I came. When it returns, it finds it swept and put in order. Then it goes and brings 7 other spirits more evil than itself, and they entered and lived there. And the last state of that person is worse than the first. So let's expound on that. So it starts with when the unclean spirit has gone out of a person and it wanders through waterless regions. Another way of looking at this is that it wanders through dry regions, dry places. And metaphysically, dry means a lack in belief and lack of limitation as well. It goes on to say that for a resting place, looking for a resting place, but not finding any, it says, I will return to my house from which I came. When it returns, it finds it swept and put in order. Now, a person may be free from unclean spirits, as it mentions here, because of whatever spirit work that person may be doing. So that means that the spirit comes back and it finds the place clean, free of anything else. So this can also be put as that when you work on yourself, you go back to your old ways because that's what you're more comfortable with. Does that make sense? Has anybody else here done that before besides me? I hope I'm not the only one. That's good. That's good. So this, as my title says, is a warning against complacency. You know, you've done your spiritual work. You've done some cleaning up. But then you think that's it. You're done. Everything's good, right? Guess what? You got to keep working, right? When we do something, when we clean something out, a simple thing at your home, when you sweep and mop, does that mean it's done? Dirt is not ever going to come back again? Well, it's similar with your spiritual work. When you work on something, there's always more. I like to think of it, if you're still here in this physical world, guess what? You still got work to do, right? I know I got plenty of work to do. Just because I'm here talking about it doesn't mean that I'm done with it. Far from it. If any of you knew all the things that I've been through and I've thought about, you would know that there's a lot more work for me to do. So if you feel like there's a lot of work for you to do, guess what? You're not the only one, right? You're not alone. So let's go on. Then the unclean spirit goes and brings 7 other spirits more evil than itself. That's good, huh? So whenever we go and do a cleaning of ourselves, if you will, we deny that something has any power over us. If we leave it at that, we're leaving our space, our house open for something worse to come in, unless we work on ourselves. And in Unity here, we work on affirmations, right? That's why when we talk about prayer, we always talk about that we use denials and affirmations. Anybody here has not heard of that before, for real? Okay, that's good. So yeah, denial doesn't mean that you're denying that something is happening to you. You deny that it has any power over you. And when you do that, you're cleansing yourself, right, in a way. But we always say, once you use the denials, don't leave it at that. Fill it in with affirmations. I'm going to ask you actually right now. Just think for yourselves right now, anything you would like to release at this moment, anything that you want to deny that it has any power over you. I want you to think about it. And in a soft voice, say something to the effect of, I deny that whatever has any power over me. Go ahead. Let's not leave it there, right? Now let's do an affirmation. Think about an affirmation that you can say for yourself to fill that space in, to fill that empty space in. And an affirmation is a statement of truth. And it's not about something that you wish that you could be. Think about something that you know you are because you're a child of God. You can say to yourself, and even think of it this way, even if in the physical you're not seeing that, consider that in the spiritual you are that already. So you're not lying when you say, I am healed. You're not lying when you say, I am well. You're not lying when you say, I am prosperous, right? Do you guys agree with that? I hope. Wonderful, wonderful. So go ahead and say an affirmations for yourselves right now. How does that feel? I want you to say it again and really mean it, really feel it deep in your gut. And I want you to say it out loud. I don't care who's saying what. I want to hear just chaos. 1, 2, 3, go. Wonderful. So another way that we can look at this about releasing and not leaving the empty space comes from an expression that we understand that Aristotle said, and is that nature abhors a vacuum. And in truth, he didn't really say that. It was a French writer, let me make sure, Francois Rabelais, who actually said the specific phrase, nature abhors a vacuum. What Aristotle said a little more closely is a vacuum is impossible because nature would always fill any void. Still saying the same thing pretty much, right? The nature abhors a vacuum. It makes it seem like, nature is feeling hatred towards a vacuum, right? It's not about that, right? It's just more of a physical aspect. Whenever a vacuum comes into play, there's something that's going to fill it. An easy example could be if I'm holding a bottle of strong perfume and I open it. After a while, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to fill the room, right? And you guys are going to smell that. Another simple one is if there's a bowl of water and you grab a sponge and you put the sponge in the water, what happens? The water sucks right up, right? And that's what's happening. So when we're denying that something has any power over us, when we're releasing something that we don't need or want, let's make sure that we fill it in with something positive, right? Let me finish up. So, the unclean spirits, enter and live there, meaning the unclean spirit that came plus the 7. And I then mentioned there's a lot of numerology in the Bible. And it says that he gets 7. How come 7? Why get 7 spirits? Why not 6 or 8, right? Well, in the Bible, in numerology, the 7 is the number of completion. Surprise, surprise, right? So to me, it means that the unclean spirit comes back and fills up that emptiness completely, right? So, which follows what this is saying now. They enter and live there, and the last state of that person is worse than the first. Think about that. You do your work, you release stuff, you cleanse yourself of whatever, but if you don't keep working on yourself, it could be a simple statement of affirmation after you do a denial, if you do other work where you release stuff from your body, you have to replace it. You have to keep working on yourself. This tells us that we need to keep working on ourselves no matter what. And yes, the denials and affirmations are a wonderful thing. And we got Charles Fillmore and Merle Fillmore to thank for having worked on this and having developed what became unity so that we can have something to look forward to. So yeah, you want to make sure that you fill any voids because you don't want nature to be hating it, right? I'm just kidding on that, but anyway. I am thinking about those voids that have come up for me throughout my life. And you can see it in many different ways, and I'm sure you can see it for yourselves also. One of the voids that I started feeling was as I was growing up, and I'll tell you real quick, for those of you that know, I was born in Colombia, South America. And the first 13 years of my life were there, and then I moved to New York. Well, my parents brought us to New York. And after being there for a couple of years, I still didn't find my place in a new city, in a new country, a new language. And in about 2 years after being there, I was able to go back to my home country to visit, to be on vacation. And while I was there, I realized that I didn't feel like I belonged there either. And I started feeling this emptiness in me. It's like if I don't belong here and I don't belong in New York, where do I belong? I think that started, for me subconsciously, my spiritual work into there must be something more to this. How come I don't feel like I belong where I was born, where I grew up, where I had my friends, where I had my family? You would think you feel great about it, right? But I wasn't feeling that. So I had to work on myself. And yes, if you will, the cleansing that I had to feel that emptiness was not something that I purposely did, right? I came to the U.S. because my parents brought us. I had no say. I was a child. Of course, now, looking back, I am extremely grateful for what happened. Oddly enough, being in New York, not feeling like I belonged there, maybe that's why I eventually ended up in Orlando, right? So, are you glad that I'm here? I don't know. All right. I was not meaning to get any. It just worked out. But yeah, so after I came here, I actually thought, I put a thought in my mind, and I think that was that affirmation that I was adding to my emptiness. It was just a simple statement of, and some of you may have heard it before, I am going to have fun. Guess what? I did. And I won't tell you the rest of the story. But truly, that led me, one thing led to another, and then I started reading books. Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, Marianne Williamson, who talks about A Course in Miracles. And I didn't know what A Course in Miracles was until I came to this church. And the minister at the time here, he had a class on Thursday mornings for A Course in Miracles. And A Course in Miracles, if you think about it, is telling us the same thing. One of the statements that A Course mentions is that the idea of A Course is to remove the blocks to our awareness. But by removing those blocks, guess what? There's going to be an emptiness there, right? But the Course has a very specific way of doing things. It is removing things while it's feeding you statements of truth. And it's basically what we're doing here at Unity. We are releasing those thoughts of lack and separation and replacing them with thoughts of union, of communion, of oneness, of wholeness. And that's why I am here this morning, to help us remember that we are here in unity because we want unity, no pun intended. We want connection. We want wholeness. And I say with the divine, because in truth, that it really is true what we are. We are truly divine. And I'm spacing on the name now, but someone said that we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, but we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And I just remember, that was Teilhard de Chardin, French mystic, philosopher, scientist, you name it. He was doing everything. It makes me think about how throughout the years we have become more focused on like one single thing. We think that we need to be only one thing in this world. And that was one of the things that I was going through. I'm like, why am I not really good at this one thing? But I just know a little bit of everything. And guess what? I'm glad that that's what had happened to me. I may not be the best orator. Back at the time when I was doing music, I was not the best musician. I've been really good at sports, but I was never the best at any of them. But guess what? I still had fun with it, right? So let's consider that. Instead of just releasing things and worrying about that we need to get rid of stuff, let's think about how are we going to have fun doing what we're doing, working on our spiritual work. I'm sure you've heard it said before, the easiest way to learn something is while having fun, right? And I think most of us, and I speak for myself, forgot that along the way. But if you think back those times when you were enjoying yourself, that's when you learn stuff that you remember for the rest of your life. I hope it wasn't just for me that was happening. And before I go, I'd like to leave you with a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. And he uses the word contentment, but I'm going to replace it with complacency because it's pretty much the same and it'll go in line with what I'm saying. He says, complacency is the refuge of the boring and the uninspired. Think about that. Complacency is the refuge of the boring and the uninspired. So my thought for you is, don't be boring, be inspired. Let's go into meditation. If you wish to close your eyes and just breathe naturally, let your body just rest right where you are. Let yourself just be. Don't worry about any thoughts that are going through your head right now. I want you to focus on the crown of your head right now, knowing that that is your Christ self. And let it be there to awaken you. Let that be, if you will, the entrance of Divine Spirit into your body, into your soul. Let this Spirit wash over you, going through every single space in your body, every single cell, energizing it, awakening, healing it, cleansing it. And just allow yourself to feel every single part of your body, from your head down through your neck, your shoulders and arms, through your fingertips and down your torso, down through your hips, your legs, all the way down to your feet. That feeling of oneness, of connection, of fullness, a feeling of power that comes from what we know as the love that is all. I would like you to repeat with me. I am love. Together. I am love. Let's say it again together. I am love. Now I want you to feel it deep down in your gut as you say it like you mean it. Together. I am love. I am the power. I am prosperity. I am health. I am wholeness. I am. And hold on to that feeling as we go into the silence. Let these words be your words. I am health. I am abundance. I am love. I am light. I am. And as we come back into the room, take this feeling with you for the rest of the day, the rest of the week, knowing that it's just a decision that you can make to have joy, to be joy, no matter what you're doing, no matter who you're with, no matter where you are. And so it is. Amen.